Welcome back to Route 40 Rust, and this week we're gonna get the 1948 Pontiac Silver Streak running, idling, charging, cooling, doing all the stuff that a car's supposed to do these days, but nothing more than that. That's all we're doing. That's it. That's it. Come on. That's it. Well, I'm about to the point where I need to start ordering parts for this Pontiac, and it would only make sense that I go through it and see what parts I already have. Makes sense. And today I was rolling around in oats and stuff, so I'm already all itchy. So I figure, what better time than now to climb through this mouse-ridden car and see what I got. You know, see what kind of fun trinkets that we can find. Smells weird in here. Oh, I can't get out. Oh, I'm out. Oh, the B pillars rotted away from the floor. Oh. So we're gonna go ahead and start pulling stuff off the back seat, and then little man's coming. He's gonna go get a warm hat and stuff on to help me, and we'll just start getting stuff out and see what we got. Hey, B pillar's kind of attached. All right, we'll just start getting this. Ooh, look at that. Little vanity mirror. This is Pontiac. That's sharp. Start sending stuff out. Did you get all warm clothes? Alright, so we're gonna get this thing, everything out of this, and then I gotta switch gears and I'm gonna mess with the put electric fuel pump and work on the ignition system, and then I gotta go over there and get the 66 F250 out, tinker on it a bit. Alright, let's see. We got glove box, painted blue. There. If you see something that you know is like a good find, this speaker wire, weed whacker string that I got here, ooh, some door trim, driver's door. What is this stuff made out of? It's metal. If you see something that's good, let me know, because I don't know what I got. I don't know what's hard to find for Pontiacs. Let's just hang you theirs. Get this whole box out and go through it. Walt, you want to grab that that alternator generator on the floor? Yeah. See it? The black thing. Yeah. Oh, there's our fuel pump.
Box.
Yep, that's the wine box. I have to mess with this guy, see if it still works. Put that on the floor, buddy. Yep. Wonder if they're rebuildable. Fuel pump there. Anyway, these things, this has got another pump in it for, I'm guessing, windshield wipers. Anyway, we got some electrical harness. We got the headlight switch. Some doohickeys, I don't know what that does. We'll just put that into there. We won't be using much of that. It's a dome light cover. Okay. What we got? Oh my word! Ezekiel's wheels. Look at that. It's the original clock, which I probably won't be able to use. since it's 6 volt. Jaeger Watch Company, New York, USA. What's that? Resets it. I don't know. Maybe we can use it and put modern guts in it. Take that stuff apart and make it do stuff. Do you wind it? Do you let it sit in the sun and then it casts shade? I don't know. I don't know what that's. Anyway, bezel for that? I don't know. Some air duct stuff. Gosh. It's a doctor's stethoscope? No. Look like a metering controls for vacuum. Maybe is that wipers? Is that how you adjust wiper speed? I don't know. Probably sound like an idiot after I went on a rant about don't open your mouth unless you know what you're talking about. Yeah, it looks like a valve on some vacuum lines. I'm gonna go with wipers. Oh, 6 volt coil. Sir Walter, good find, but we'll never need that again. Ooh, another headlight switch. Okay. Ashtray. Smells like post-war filterless Pall Malls. Good screws in there. What else we got? Wires. What things? Ooh, you know what that is, Walt?
Detonator.
It is not a detonator. You know what that is?
Oh, a cigarette lighter?
It is a yeah, cigar lighter. Put that with the ashtray. Coil, hold down, old paper, rotor. This thing is chintzy looking. Okay. What we got here? You know what that is, Walter? Oh, you don't know what that is? Think about it.
Turn signal?
Nope. Headlights.
Oh.
Dimmer switch. Brights and regular. Goofball. More melted wiring.
Whoa.
We got the keys, Walt. I don't know. Why'd you scream like a girl?
I did.
Look at that. We got the. That's a game changer. Look at that. Some sort of. Oh, Marlboro with a big old steer on there. General Motors Corp. Gosh, original keys. Cool. How cool is that? Okay, moving on. Ride the. That is fireworks.
Oh.
Probably old. Don't sneak out here and light it on fire. All sorts of weird doodads with things in it. Return spring for the carburetor. Anyway, there's some. I don't know what the rest of this. Ooh, fuel pump gasket. Horn relay maybe. Voltage regulator. I don't know. Anyway, we'll circle back to that. Walter, we'll make this the wiring area. Oh. Hey, Walt, will you slowly start bringing me stuff? If it's heavy, ask for help. If it looks expensive, go ahead and break it. That way we can kind of expedite this. We're losing the sun. Some more dash stuff. Ooh, all the little pegs are intact. How does that go above the radio? Air vent thing? Oh, yeah, for the rear fenders. Wonder if take these to Jared and maybe he can church them up for us, you know. There's my trunk thing, license plate with a light. Ooh, so it lights up your license plate. Nice little Pontiac script. I guess the handle goes there. Good stuff. What we got here? radiator hose. Put that with that pile. We got various nuts and bolts. All right, Walter, we need a nuts and bolts spot out here. I'm gonna let him dig through the gross stuff. And I'm gonna jump into this trunk. I don't know. Go put it in there. Looks like a bearing pack. Ooh, ooh. How does? Ow! Something's touching me. Had a wire, light bulb on a wire. Went down the back of my neck. Anyway, I got excited. Found a clean one of these. Maybe clean. And skirts. Walter, help your dad. Come here.
Here.
Okay, you got him here. Grab that skirt right there.
Skirt?
Yeah, grab that thing.
Oh.
Yep. Grab it. Got the snake light bulb on me. Oh. Barely survived that. The harrowing of hell. There. Not there. Yeah, that'll go up the center strip, the separation on the windshield, and there's your rear view. What I'm curious about is I can almost guarantee that these will be stuck. It's your latch for once you put the skirt up in there. Latch it. Oh, that one's not frozen. Alright. Things to work on. Well, all in all, it wasn't a bad pull. Nothing that blew me out of the water, but then again, what do I know about Pontiacs? But let me show you a few cool things, and keep your peepers open for what I do have. I do have the original oil bath, which is pretty cool. Pontiac Motor Division, General Motors Corporation, Pontiac, Michigan. AC Delco. Yep, so seems complete. There's no oil in it because I flipped it over. That's pretty cool. Definitely gonna save that. Oh, we got a spare belt. Jeez, Pete's. Some horns, some 6-volt horns. Not like I already don't have a pile of those. Like some of that duct work. This I don't think is part of it. It's like this filigree aluminum. I don't know. Bits and pieces of that. Rubber hose. That's fun. I got this very gross and soggy armrest, but there is metal on the base, so it could be redone. This, I don't know what this panel's for. I don't know. Access for trunk, spare tires, stuff. I don't know. I did find the transmission inspection pan, which is kind of lame, and there was screws in it. Hopefully they're just the screws that hold it to the transmission and nothing important. What else we got, Walt? We got the original, look at that, Pontiac. The step guards that will, oh, they're just flaking. It's like a rubber or a plastic on top of metal. The metals seems to be intact with this rubber on top of it. I'd hate to redo them and lose the Pontiac, but I mean, what a fantastic panel to hide a bunch of rust. I like them. I don't know if they repop those. Did you find this, Walt? Some more door trim. I'm guessing these are bows for the headliner. some mummy cloth, good find. What else do we get? Oh, we got the jukebox, we got radio. Super Deluxe. Bunch of crusty buttons that are breaking apart, but we got that. Oh, is that what that goes to? Is this your... Look at that. Jenga. So we could put a modern thing in there. What else did you find? Is this your pile wall? Oh yeah, we got that. That's important. Oh, we got the gasket. It's harder than my abs. We got a piece of cardboard. Gosh, we got 2 hose clamps. That's worth the whole car. Went over the skirts, went over that. What'd you get here?
Some sort of light.
Yeah, some sort of light, he says. Is this the clamp that goes to the thing? Some wires around the thing. Is that like a trouble light? Take off there and... What's this? What's this doohickey? I don't know what that does. And what's that, like a voltage regulator or something? Cool stuff. Alright. What else we got? Even though there's a distributor in the car, there's another distributor. Oh. I don't know what the deal is with spare distributor. That's a catch can. Keys, mirror, more ventilations. Oh, and we got the spotlight that was on the car. Oh no! We had a spotlight. Hopefully that plastic didn't crack. Yep, cracked a little bit. Oh. On-off switch. That's a shame. Well, Walt, nothing. We didn't find $1 million. Or the key to One Eye Willie's gold. Or Chester Copperpot's skeleton. Anyway, there's all that. Well, if you saw something I didn't, holler at me. Drop a comment below, because I don't know what I'm looking at. Is that clock cool? Is it cool that I found the clock? I don't know. Let me know what I got here, guys. Moving on. Y'all want to see something cool other than me? Check out this little, you know, crappy ignition control thing that I made for the 48 Pontiac. It's pretty cool actually, and simple. Just took a piece of scrap metal and I threw in a switch that came off like an old liftgate dump truck. I'm gonna run this switch for the electric fuel pump, like a 4 to 7 PSI Edelbrock job that you just pick up at the parts store. It's got a light bulb on the switch, so it's just one of those things that I know we got power there. And then I just got a toggle for the 12 volts to the ignition coil. And just so we're not beating the death out of these old old 6-volt point condenser in that distributor. Got a generic Baust resistor in there, just an ohm and a half. Kind of dial her down a little bit, you know, just make it reasonable. Go easy on the old girl. Blow the yams out of it. So anyway, you know, quick little thing that might take out room for error when we're under there fiddling with it, because last time we had alligator clips and jumper wires, and I was verifying everything with test lamps and bad connections and stuff. Just really couldn't concentrate on the job at hand. So this only took 5-10 minutes to throw together. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the engine ground to the battery terminal to the engine, and I'm gonna add a few grounds to the body to the engine, and to the body to the frame, and the frame to the engine, and just make sure we've got good connections there, because a bad ground on the engine to body and frame can cause a lot of issues, let's say. So we'll get this buttoned in, wire up the electric fuel pump, plumb that in, clean up some grounds, and we'll circle back and see where we're at with this engine.
It can be yours because the white one's in the garden broke.
Alright, so real quick, I'm not proud of this, but I'm not ashamed. I got the bracket that I showed you with a fuel pump and ignition. It's not great. There's wires zip tied and electrical tape to things, but at least we're not in here with jumper wires and the test light trying to tickle on things. So I haven't got spark plug wires or spark plugs. I blew some dirt out of here and started soaking them down because these things are ancient. I pulled one out and cleaned it off, and I'm not going to mess with it. But at any rate, I still haven't figured out the linkage for the starter and how to get it to engage from inside. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it, but let's see if we can't get this thing to idle a little bit better, so stand by. What do you think about that? Maybe we should run it some more. Want to run it some more? Let's run it some more. Well, now that we got this thing to show signs of extended possibilities of life, we need to circle right around and get some of that cooling system buttoned up. Little man's gonna get the water neck that we had found in the back. I gotta find another bolt for that. Kind of get it hooked up, get some coolant in it, because these flatheads, you know, they can get pretty hot on the top end. Even though that was, you know, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, a lot of heat can build up. So we're gonna get this cooling system, and we might as well Got to get this GM one-wire alternator figured out, and that bracketry and belt situation. That way we can get the water pump turning and see how that's functioning. So that might be all of it for today, but that was definitely a big win. We got a runner, and while rough, the straight 8 does run smooth. Real quick, what I want to do is see if we can't just easily change this new alternator, small belt pulley, get this one off the original generator, which is the fat belt. I don't know, it would probably be easier to just find a fat belt, the original OEM belt for this, or run with the one we got just to see how it goes, then try to find a water pump pulley or crank pulley or a belt that works for this guy on the Pontiac. So I kind of shot a measuring tape on there wherever it went and looked at these shaft sizes, which is really hard to do, but it looks like the threads and all is about 9/16. So we're gonna see how easy that comes off, or if we destroy it, and that one. Well, let's destroy the new one first. That was easy. Get out of my way. Really need to spend a day cleaning the old garage. Thought so. Not keyed or nothing. Guess we'll. So that's not keyed. I'm betting this one is. Easy. 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 That one easy. Doesn't look tapered, but it is keyed. This one was just kind of lock nutted on. So let's just do the same thing. And if it explodes in our face, we'll just get a new face. That's easy. Torqued. Well, that was easy. Look at that, boys and girls. We got a GM one-wire. The pulley for the thing that goes to the thing. We're gonna have a car before you know it, I'll tell you what. I think I should give that one more little, yep. I don't hear nothing grinding there. Sweet. Alright, so now we just gotta invent some brackets to conform this to the car, which should be easy enough. There's 2 provisions. Made in the US of A. How about that? I'll tell you what, we're gonna stop. Do not remove. Yeah, voided the warranty, all right. Okay, let's look at stuff. Let's see what this wants to do. You know what? Let's just what's for supper, Walter? Tell you what, I wasn't even gonna work on cars today. I got some new VHSs. Tacos? Oh. We can't get the Pontiac running and get tacos on the same night. Man just doesn't deserve that much goodness. RDC. Yeah, no problem. Nope. Okay. Let me get you guys in here and show you what we got. So this was the original bracket for the generator on the Pontiac, and you can bend it to get it kind of lined up, but we're about out of adjustment on that slot, which is okay, but we kind of need 2 points of contact on this guy. So the other provision for mounting is on the bottom, and it's not threaded, so we might be able to come off the same stud here, shoot straight down under the alternator, and come up with something. Ooh, or better yet, I'm going to take some crude measurements and we'll make a plate that goes with this bracket here on this stud and comes down, and we'll have a gusset that will come, and probably gusset down to, there's a, I don't want to call it a lifting lug, but there's some sort of clip angle next to the engine ground. So we're in the ballpark. We at least we know we can make something. It'll look like a horseshoe crab with a broken leg. So we need to build that part. Found another bolt for that, but I think we're just gonna leave everything off until we figure out the alternator, and it'll be an easy shot off the B stud. We'll either go to the starter or the battery, whichever we do with a cable. Maybe the battery, so we can come off and tuck it up against this inner and go to the battery. And if I've never had one of these Wilsons, so if it needs a wire to excite it or something, like if you're gonna do it properly, you can run like a bulb and then a gauge on the dash and 12 volts to that, and you can get it to pop off. But hey, it runs. Hopefully we didn't get it too hot. These flatheads are fickle little yams. Might go ahead and dump some coolant in that hole just to get it dripping down in all its nooks and crannies, and then we'll find a belt and make a bracket. So that's all for today, but a pretty good, and that, I'm proud of that guy. That's race car stuff, you know, ballast resistor and everything. And yeah, oh, and I also need to make a plate, a block off plate for the fuel pump, since we're gonna run that electric for now. Looks pretty good. Well, we're all done for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me working on the Pontiac. It was a good time. We got a lot accomplished. You know, some highlights is we got some semi-permanent, mostly temporary, but might stay there forever and whatnot, ignition controls and fuel pump controls there under the hood, which is real handy. I don't have to do the pry bar start it trick as much because I adjusted the starter linkage, which it's a little wonky down in there, guys, let me tell you what. And how about that alternator pulley swap? That went well, and I really just need to figure out how to fab up a, you know, pivot point bracket, second point of contact for that thing, so we can tighten that fat belt. And the wiring should be simple, easy for that one wire alternator because it's just one wire. Even I could do it, you know. But all in all, the straight 8 was impressive. It did all the things that an engine should do, and it was only inhibited by the things that an engine has to have to continue to run, like cooling system, charging system, proper lubrication. I don't know if that thing's building oil pressure. I mean, it didn't sound crazy, but I really don't know what a flathead valve train should sound like when she's running dry. So I need to get some gauges on there, probably a temp gauge and a oil pressure gauge, just to keep an eye on it, and maybe pop that paper oil filter cartridge out and find a replacement for that guy before we really run it and get it up to temp and get it hot and make sure everything's okay. Because we're still not out of the woods yet, fellas. Let me tell you what, we can get that engine going and then find out it's got a horrible knock, which I'm prepared to do some main bearings if need be. We'll see. I'm really dedicated to the straight 8, and I'm a man. of dedication. Tell you what, in the 5th grade, I signed a contract with Dare and the Harlem Globetrotters to stay off drugs. Look at me today. So we'll stick with that engine, see how far we can go. If not, we'll circle back around, hit the drawing board, and figure out what we gotta do. But we're not too far off from getting that car to drive. And don't you worry about stopping it, because I've got a trick up my sleeve that once the weather warms up and we can hit some junkyards, I got something that might just impress everybody. Well, I made these brackets. I made 3 of them, and I'm sure none of them are going to work. But this one is with the measurements that I crudely took for the alternator bracket. And then I made one that would compensate for an 1/8 inch up, and then taking an 1/8 inch out of it for this one. So we'll drill the regular one, and we'll see how far we're off, and we'll just go from there. And if it works, we'll make a better one and clean it up. I also want to share with you guys a thing. If you're into buying Berrymans, you can get this at Dollar General, no joke, for $4.95. It's like $6 or $7 everywhere else at an auto parts store. Maybe not a great steal, but brake clean, you can get that at a Dollar General. The old DG for like, I don't know, I think that's $5, $5.50. I don't know, but it's just easy to go to Dollar General and get, you know, gummy worms and brake clean. Anyway, what am I doing? I need to drill some holes in a bracket, see if it fits. Well, here's my crudely made regular bracket. It's still hotter than Iraqi flip-flop. So I went a little bit bigger than I need to. These are probably, I don't know, 1/2 inch holes or something like that, when all I needed was 3/8 or 7/16. But I went a little bit bigger, so because I know it's going to be way off. So these will probably go to the front of the block like timing cover provisions, and this one will be for the bottom of the alternator, the pivot point. And if it works, we'll clean this thing up and see if we're going to need a gusset that comes off here and goes back to that clip angle on the bottom of the block. But it should be okay. Well, not ashamed of myself, but I'm not proud. The first bracket worked out pretty good. We got some alignment issues. I mean, if we were driving this thing down the road, we'd definitely throw a belt, and it's a little loose, but it is enough that the water pump turns. So that's really all we need. I actually don't care about charging right now. So the bracket will come out, and we'll do some spacers and make that better. I'm gonna go ahead and get this water neck RTV'd on there, and we'll just make a paper gasket for it another time. I dumped another gallon of coolant in the head. Had some in it, that's why I was able to run it for a little bit. Ran it for about a minute, 60 seconds or so, without flowing water, so that's fine. It really didn't get too warm. I got this hose coming out of the heater core that'll have to go to the water pump, but we're not going to pump any coolant through the heater core because I know that probably leaks all over. So we'll just come off of the water pump to the cylinder head with a hose for the bypass to get that working. But you know, I think I'm gonna go ahead and glue that water neck on and call it quits for tonight. So real quick, I want to show you guys how I figured out this bracket in a hurry. What you want to do is you take really horrible measurements in the field, and then when you go to design it, you make real precision measurements. So I picked one bolt that I knew a provision that I could use, and my alternator was going to be around here. So I know somewhere in this area I needed to hit it with a bolt, and there was another provision in the timing chain cover up here. So all I did was, we'll pick these 3 points. Now, I didn't know where they all relate to each other. You know, you can measure, hey, that's, you know, X amount of inches, but you really don't know where it lies on a plane with the other provision. So let me find my measuring tape. What I do is, I'll take a tape, and I measured the distance from this bolt hole to this bolt hole, and I was pretty confident it was 2 inches. And I took a measurement, and this I was measuring blind, from here to here. I was getting 4, and I think from here to here I was at 2.5 ballpark. Again, I was like underneath the alternator kind of measuring. So if I knew this is 2, I go to the center of it with my 2 and I swing my tape. Oh, I'm doing a very bad job. I swing my tape at 2 inches, and I put an arc, and then I come out here at 4 inches, and I usually do it the other way around, where I put this here and then I swing that, but it's hard to do in videotape and not put my big old arm in the way. So here I'm going to throw this at 4 inches minus that guy, and then so you got your 2 kind of around where that's supposed to be, and then I'm going to find there's only one place that 2.5 inches is going to work together. You can't get too far off. So I'm going to do this without my arm. So you can come, put two and a half. So we'll call it there and there. So here and here should be obviously my 4 inches. There's my 2, and there's my 2.5. So there's my bolt spread there. That's how I do it. It's probably not the, well, dagnabbit, lost my marker. Let me get you in here. I don't know if this is the right way to do it when you're trying to figure out a bolt pattern that you got to fabricate, but I've done it a million times making like transitions when you're cutting sheet metal or like AR200 or carbon steel, and you got to make a flat side of something that is not on the same plane. So you have to have 2 triangles that made up against each other. That way it's 3-dimensional, if that makes sense. A little bit confusing to describe, but this is how I would make, you know, a piece of, say, AR200 if I had to cut that triangle, and those are my 3 points. And then I would, you know this measurement, so you would do the same thing with another 3 points over here, and you'd make 2 triangles and just plasma cut them out of like AR, carbon steel, whatever, and then tack them all in, and then, you know, you can do all your welds. That way you have a 3-dimensional sheet where everything's not on the same page. So I just use the same theory to, you know, triangulate 3 bolt holes. I don't know if that, what do you want? It's not eating time, Tina. Anyway, so that's how I do it. If you guys know a better way, you know, by all means comment, and I'd like to learn it, but that's just how I triangulated stuff, and it worked out pretty well with that specific bracket. You know, a little tweaking on spacing, but we'll figure it out. Alrighty, got dirt on the camera. At any rate, anywho, that's that for tonight. Definitely gonna head in for supper and warm up, and tomorrow we should be able to slap some gauges on it and then make this thing run again. Morning, sunshine. Hope you guys are doing good today. Oh, I'm not. I got thrown out the American Legion last night on an all-you-can-eat fish fry. Apparently, it's not all you can eat. There's a limit. It's a non-tangible number. It's more of just a, you know, respect for one's own body. And they said I didn't. But at any rate, I got more perch in my belly than Lake Saginaga in the Boundary Waters. That's okay, because today's a really good day. It's an awesome day, because today is the day that teddy bears have their picnic. No, we're finally back at the 48 Pontiac with the straight 8. We got a lot of work done this week. We should be cooling, we should be charging, we should be building oil pressure, we should be, you know, running better. There's a massive vacuum leak on the intake, and that's why it would only run fully choked and stuff. So did a lot of tinkering, but today we're just gonna, we gotta swap the yams out, man. I'll tell you what, I was working on this thing at nighttime and you could just see the plugs arcing all over the place. They're so cracked up and busted and beat. So we're gonna swap out the spark plugs in there, and you know, I got to make a block off plate for the fuel pump, because she's a smoker for now. Might clear up. Anyway, set it. Well, we're about ready to swap out these old spark plugs with some cheaper Autolite 306s. Yeah, they'll be all right. Kind of church up some of these plug wires with some electrical tape, because it is damp under the hood, and you know how much I like getting electrocuted. 'Tis true. But not in the mood today. Not in the mood. So what we'll do, do all this. Oh, I can feel that old rubber just cracking. That's so not good. Oh. Well, I think this is a good moment to bring up once again a supporter of the channel, and more specifically this 48 Pontiac project, is Showcase Heating and Air. They're in Moores Hill, Indiana. That's southeast Indiana, and I'm sure that they service the Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati region, and southwest Ohio, maybe Kentucky, I don't know. But don't take my word for it. Like I mentioned a couple videos ago, Google it yourself. Showcase Heating and Air. Showcase Heating and Air in Moores Hill, Indiana, and look at their Google reviews. For a small company, they're just getting at it. There's like 45 and counting 5-star reviews. That's pretty impressive these days, when one, everybody wants to complain about everything, and two, in a world where the small business is just fighting to keep their head above water. So I really appreciate them. So if you need any services like that, be sure to give them a ring. And more importantly, the biggest supporter of this channel is you. Oh, isn't that nice? It's true though, because with every view, every subscription, every like, thumbs up button, and every comment encourages YouTube's algorithm to keep spreading the love on this video and pushing it around. So I really appreciate every one of you guys who take the time out of your busy schedules to watch these videos. It means a lot to me and my family. And I also want to say, and you don't have to, if you feel like you want to reach out and support some more, under each video there's a button that says thanks or super thanks, and that gives you the opportunity to one-time donation to the channel. Could be a couple bucks, you know, just to fund the operation. I'd really appreciate that too, because I'm no different than you guys. I'm working the 9 to 5, putting the meatloaf in the oven kind of thing, you know. I get it. So I would appreciate that. Oh. 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 Ah. Oh yeah. Huh. I think once we get this thing, definitely some new plug wires. But these new bougies, these old yams, probably gonna make this thing knock over my coffee cup. I'll be devastated. Will help it idle a little bit smoother. Porcelain was all cracked up on the old ones. And I've read a lot about, and you guys have commented, that these things run super smooth. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that's pretty neat engine, for sure. Oh yeah. And when we get to the point where we're up underneath this car and servicing the rear end, we'll see what kind of gear ratio we got. But when you got 190 foot-pounds of torque, that's nothing to balk at when you got the right gear ratio. This thing might be able to out-tow my Ford. Definitely doesn't have the horsepower, but we'll see what kind of gear reduction we got, because that, my boys, is everything. I've got a big block Ford, a 390 on my 1-ton with 456 gears in a Dana 70, and with that slush box C6 automatic transmission just sponging up any extra horsepower and torque that thing can make, it's really not that impressive. But I got a 66 Ford 250 with, yeah, the straight six, the 300, 4-speed, and which I think is a T18 transmission, and 411s on the Dana 60. And that thing, obviously, you just don't use first gear. You ain't got no time for that crap. About to snap your neck. So while I'm not expecting straight six 300 on a manual transmission type of torque out of this girl, I'm expecting something. Better get some brake clean in here and dry some of this moisture up. Maybe some coolant leaks. About every old hose I put on is leaking, but that's okay. All right, guys, here's where we're at. Let me get you 100% up to speed on this old girl. Where we at? All right, because I don't even know where we left off. We obviously got the electric fuel pump plumbed in with our Coleman fuel tank. That's nice. That's good stuff. So when it arcs and whatever and catches the fumes on fire here, we'll just have a problem. Threw in the cheapest gauges I can find, which was unfortunate because I had to get these from Summit and they were not as cheap as the Harbor Freight Wuhan wrench set, which I don't believe that they sell anymore. That $20 3-pack gauges that are just so convenient to buy. Couldn't find those. Kind of sad. So hopefully those are still available. Just obviously I'm not going to run a plastic oil pressure tube. I'll run copper when the time comes. This is all permanent, or not permanent is what I'm trying to say. Definitely not permanent. This is just a whole car and an engine bay to, you know, see if we want this straight 8, if it's going to be okay. Got this bungee cord here, keeping the choke close. I think that's the only way it would run with this vacuum leak to the intake, but we'll deal with that. Obviously, new yams, some Autolite copper cores. Got the water neck on. Ooh, we got the alternator on. Still, bracket needs some churching up, you know, to make it nice and right, but the water pump will turn. I got my charging wire, which is way too big. It's just something I had laying around, wired up. We got a jumper wire because it probably won't want to excite at such a low idle speed, but we'll leave that off and see where it wants to go later if we gotta excite that alternator. But charging, not something I'm worried about. You've seen the, I need to mark this, we got fuel pump and ignition, so that's kind of convenient. Where else we at? We did some stuff, but yeah, I think it's all buttoned up and we're ready to let this thing run and bring it up to temp and really keep a close eye on the vitals, like the oil pressure. The few times that I've run it in the past, I just kind of looked at the gauge on the car, the original one, and there was movement, things happened, but one, you can't trust the needle. I think there was actually already a leak in the copper core line, so I definitely needed trustworthy-ish gauges if I'm going to let this thing run for a while. What else? I didn't feel like making a new block off plate for the mechanical fuel pump, but we'll circle around to that. Oil still looks okay. I mean, I added a whole bunch of coolant to it last few days just to, you know, get it in there and popping air out and stuff, and yeah, making sure that it didn't drain into the oil pan, which would have been unfortunate, but we still could have, you know, a crack somewhere in this block or cylinder wall or something like that. That could be a showstopper. Either way, this thing is looking promising, and I can't express how excited I am to have this thing running and be the permanent power plant for this vehicle. We still don't know if the transmission's okay, and I'm not going to concern, you know, today's got enough troubles. We'll worry about that another time. For now, let's make this thing run. Okay, let's do things. That's not good, but that's okay. I knew that my alternator mounting was suspect at best, but we're charging, that's cool. So idling pretty smooth. I haven't heard a backfire, which it had do before, and I think that's because those plug wire or those spark plugs are no good. Got a little smoke out of the crankcase. I'm sure she's a smoker, or she might clean up, but might have been too soon with the choke, but it's all right. That old belt's gonna come off in my face. Still got issues, probably plug wires. I don't know, just need to get ran, maybe some Berrymans or marbles through it. Alternator's barely hanging in there. That's great. Not good. There's like seeds in the coolant. Probably a mouse built something in there. It'll probably clog something up. About to lose my belt. I think that tick noise that pops up is the cooling fan on the new alternator hitting that upper bracket, which I kind of knew would happen. I just hope it doesn't throw a belt because I don't have another one and it's just more money. I want it to hang in there long enough to get this engine warm. Ah! shut her down as soon as we get some good heat build up in the block. A lot of oily blow-by coming out of that hole, which is fine. Maybe it's just flinging it. Really need to get a cover built. Hang in there, buddy. Proud of you. Pretty smooth running old girl. Come on, temperature. All right, I'm gonna watch this for a few minutes and let you know how it turns out. That a guy just noticed was, you know, we don't have a lot of, you know, gushing in there, which is a good sign that we don't have combustion gases going into the cooling system, would indicate that the head gasket's hanging in there. But let's not, you know, make an omelet before we have a chicken or something. I don't know, because once heat gets up, you know, the head gasket can just go like that. I've seen it before on flatheads, and by seen it before, I mean I had an overheating F-134, and I added ice cold water to it in the winter time, and the head gasket just gave up the ghost. You know, Lazarus, drop of water please, you know, something like that. But that was my fault, not the car. And the F-34 is not even a flathead. It's got intake valves in the head and exhaust in the block. But anyway, yeah, so that's good. Starting to spew a lot of oil out the mechanical fuel pump port, which is okay. It's not enough to where we need to add more oil to it. Carburetor's hanging in there. I don't know if you saw me idle it up and put my hand and starve the air out of it. Sometimes if there's any dirt or debris in any of the circuits, you can idle them up and just pop your hand on it and get it to suck any blockage out of the circuits. But we're really just using the idle circuit, and maybe that's about it. I can't rev it up too much. That alternator belt's just gonna good news, the thermostat just opened and we're starting to circulate some of that water, so we're where we need to be as far as getting this thing up to temperature. So we got it up to operating temperature, thermostat's open. Now we're going to watch this coolant flow through the whole system. I know there's going to be some little leaks here and there. That lower rad hose, the upper radiator hose is just a mess. I got a bypass hose off a, you know, 67 Ford F-350 that I use that's dry rotted, and you know, it's a nightmare is what's happening here. But I really want to see if this radiator holds any pressure. If it's leaking at a hose at the radiator, I can deal with that. That's fine and dandy. You know, you just emery cloth the neck and then buy a new hose. You know, it's that simple. but I need to see the upper and lower tanks and the cooling fins and all the cooling tubes not have any leaks, because that could be a big issue tracking down this right radiator. She's not spewing out her underbelly yet. That hasn't exploded in my face yet. I really can't believe it, how well this thing idles. I mean, other than that blow-by coming out the crankcase, which, you know, that's fine. Like my grandma and her recliner, you know, it's okay. But for all of you that commented how these things idle so smooth, you were on point, you're right, you know, and I appreciate, I think the most out of all the comments and the help has been some of you guys that had one of these. I've heard so many stories of someone with a Chieftain or a Torpedo or a Streamliner as their first car, and man, just hearing some of their teenage memories, you know. Sammy boy, I got you, man. That story you told about, you know, the radio and you guys always going dancing in Georgia, you know, and all that good stuff. That's a really neat story. I appreciate that. And you ain't kidding. Smooth idler. Trying to find something to balance. Do I have any money? I don't have any money. Are you kidding me? Hang in there. We're at like 12 pounds of oil pressure at a hot idle. Again, that oil looked really good. I don't know how high it gets. I don't even know the oil pressure spec for these things. I guess how slow this idles at, like, you know, 400 RPM. If I just had a pound, if I had oil in the tube, I'd be happy. And with that belt doing non-belt things and ticking and about to come apart, I'm not going to rev it up and see what the oil pressure does. And we're still leaking a lot of oil pressure out the crankcase, or just the oil in general. Want to see it get a little hotter, but that might be all we get, you know. The ambient temperature and stuff, you know, 150, 160, 170 degrees. Thermostat open, so there's that. I cannot believe how well this thing fired up and idle. That is truly amazing. What a great engine. I'm really glad that, you know, this straight 8 worked out and we're going to use it in this project. Definitely motivates you to tackle the, you know, less exciting stuff like welding that frame up, which is going to be great. And then starts opening ideas in your brain at what you want to do with a project. A few people have mentioned lowering this thing, and I'm on board. I've never lowered a vehicle in my life. Everything's factory ride height in my book, because I got 1 tons and 3/4 tons and Jeeps and other Jeeps and stuff, but I've never done a vehicle that I can kind of do something different and express some of my own you know, artistic, what's the word, style. So I think lowering this car would be cool, but first we need to tackle the frame, do some brakes, and that would be the mature thing to do before we started doing things that really didn't matter, I guess. So I think next is, now that it's warming up, we got to go to some junkyards. I got a brake idea to redo modern brakes on this whole car. We'll deal with the frame, and then I got some wheel options that I'll share with you guys. And by wheel options, I mean wheels that I already have laying around and that are free. Well, I guess that's it for, you know, this episode of Route 40 Rust. The straight 8's a runner, and a very good runner at that. What more can we ask for, you know? Appreciate you all watching. Be sure to subscribe if you don't. Hit the thumbs up button.